Peace, peace, family. We are now live. We are now live. Let me move the mic closer to me. Let me move the mic closer. We are now live. Black Magic Cambatta. Oh, what a show tonight. What a show tonight. What a show tonight.
Yes, sir.
What a show tonight. Hey, listen, somebody calling you, I think. They said pot abuser smoking chronic like I got a tumor.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a bottom line?
The manifesto.
Manifesto, yeah. There
Yeah,
you
yeah.
go. Michael Jackson, yeah. Yeah, you already know what it is. Shout out to everybody in the chat waiting. Oh, this is an important show. If y'all only knew how important music was, like sometimes we look for the complicated topics, quantum this, quantum that, and that's great. It's everything is quantum. But if you only knew how important music was, we would pay more attention to the music that we're listening to, we're consuming, we're giving our energy to, and we're creating. We're gonna have a great time tonight. We got some announcements to make. We're gonna build with the people tonight, answer some questions. To start out with, let's get to. I usually get to commercials. What I'm gonna do real quick. Let me see. Yeah, let me get to some commercials, and then we'll be right back.
Hey there! Had a bad dream? I have dreams too. Some parts are scary and some parts are fun. Always remind yourself, it's only a dream and everything will be okay. I had a dream about being in a forest too. Check it out, my pet Petey was with me. Order your copy of Kayla Petey and the Forest on Amazon today.
Hey family, it's King Simon, the founder of Numerovation. Remember, if you want to book a session with me and get a Numerovation consultation, all you have to do is text me your full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. And if you want any of my books, go to linktree/King Simon, the Numerovator. That's King Simon, the Numerovator. And your books are available on Amazon. Remember, I'm the El Numero Uno, the Numerovator himself. And if you want to book a session, all you have to do is text me. Make sure you get my books on Amazon. I love you. Peace.
All right. And as an added bonus to the intro, we want to, as the people continue to come in, everybody's coming in late. People are just joining. When is the next performance? I have to be there. We're having an album release party. Real quick, I'm gonna answer this question. We're having an album release party in New York. Y'all know I'm in Atlanta, but for the album release party, it got to be in New York. So we're having an album release party in Brooklyn, New York. We'll give the date very, very, very soon, but it's going to be in Brooklyn, New York. And I'll tell you the spot. It's going to be at Alkaline Oasis. That's Mr. G spot. That's Dr. Sabi's cameraman when Dr. Sabi was alive, and KT has his events there. So it's going to be at Brooklyn. It's going to be in Brooklyn, New York, the album release, and it's going to be a zoo. It's going to be like how the tunnel used to be in New York back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Listen, Cambatta, I want to welcome you back to my show, my brother. Welcome back, brother.
Hey, yo, it's a pleasure, man. It's an honor, man. I mean, shoot, man. We've been seeing each other behind the scenes, but it's been a while since we've been seeing while other people can see it in a way, you know. So, man, this is a long time coming, man. I hope I still got the chops so we can swap. You heard me?
Yeah. Pause. You got to give a pause with that.
Oh, yeah. Pause, definitely. Pause. I ain't talking about bare hands. Bare hands of a bare hand pause, right?
You know, I'm from Harlem, Dame Dash.
That's why it's called pause, because, right, like if you look at the pause sign, it's like almost like two hands going stop. And it's the pause. Once you see the pause.
Ooh, I never thought about that in my life.
Once you see the pause,
bro,
right,
I never thought about that.
That means that them claws about to come. You heard me?
Bro, that's why you the wordsmith.
No,
that is why you the wordsmith. Somebody sent a super chat. Let me see what they're saying. They said, this man is the greatest MC alive. Seen him perform live in my hometown Atlanta with Rock. My top 5. Lil Wayne, Melly Mel, Nas, Andre 3000, and Cambatta. Wow, what a
man, that's woo.
Brother.
Yeah, if it was possible for me to blush and turn red, man, I'd look like a tomato right now. Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you. But I remember Isaiah, man. I met him last time I was in Atlanta, man. Amazing energy. And to me, man, it takes one to know one, man. When we were writing these lyrics and I'm dropping these songs, I'm not sure how many people are gonna understand what I'm saying. So when we got these high level translators out there, it just gives me more confidence that the content that we continue to bring out will definitely just land on the right ears every time. I don't got to worry about dumbing down nothing, you know.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So immediately, I want to get to an update. I wanted to drop the album today. We're still a little behind, family. I apologize. We just to give y'all an update. Holy Ghost 3 is, I would say, 85 to 90% done. So it's literally right around the corner. We don't live in the same state, so it's much harder than what it was with the first 3 albums. Whether it was Manifest Destiny, Holy Ghost 1, or Holy Ghost 2, but we're right around the corner. We're about 85 to 90% done. We need artwork, and we just need about 2 more tracks and just a couple of things, and we're finished. So just please be patient with us. I apologize. I really wanted, today's actually my mother's birthday. That's why I wanted it.
Happy birthday.
And Cambatta's birthday. When is your birthday? Right around the corner. When is your birthday?
It's on the 21st, so I believe that's Friday. But yeah.
So we really wanted it to come out today because it was my mother's birthday. His birthday's right around the corner, the 21st. That Cancer energy, but it just, we can't force it. We got to follow. We got to go with the flow. So, but like I said, we're 80.
You heard what you just said? You can't force it. You got to go with the flow.
Oh, there you go again. You can't force it, bro. How do you do this, bro?
I mean, you did it. I just pointed it out,
bro. How do you even find those? Force it. I said force it, and you turn it into force it. Yeah, that's a hell of a gift right there, bro. That's a hell of a gift right there, man.
Yeah, that's it, man. But yeah, no, what you're saying is real. I'm sure the people, when we look back at hip hop, the thing to expect out of the artist is to not drop on time, right? So we're actually on time, right? Because hip hop is full of that, and a lot of times you got to go out there, you got to take a test. Like we've been teasing, we've been offering it. We're seeing how many wolves come to the fence when we throw the meat out there, and we're just letting it build, man. This is tantric. This is like, tantric sex music. Because guess what? We're gonna hold off. We're gonna hold off until to break them gates. And a lot of it, just like with all of our other albums, a lot of the greatness comes at the end. It's kind of like that whole, high school homework theory. I was never the kind of guy that would do anything on time. If you gave me 3 weeks to study, it didn't matter because I'm still going to wait till the night before. Right. So you get used to that. And to me, it's very hard to trick the flow state, right? So
trick the flow state. Wow.
Yeah, and it usually happens when you have to do it. Especially if you're not used to putting yourself into that. It takes a really disciplined person to create a routine that can get them there all the time, right? That's what separates the Wayne Gretzky's from everybody else, or the Michael Jordans from everybody else. They can wake up every morning and turn that on. Mm-hmm. But for me, it generally happens oh my God, I have 10 minutes to do this. And because of that, it puts me in this psychotic, half comatose state of being able to cram. And you're literally the same way. I've learned that this whole process is that it's crunch time. So you have to. There's no excuse to make up for this. When you know that you got 6 months to do something, you be like, tonight's not the night. But if you got 6 days, you're like, oh God, let's get it. So I apologize to the people, but greatness takes time, and with as much of a perfectionist as I am, Rich is even more. Rich is this is, something he's hearing something very great out of this. And we've created more songs for this. We've created enough songs for this project, probably for 3 projects, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But we're just making sure we give you guys the right thing.
Indeed. I want to take this time. I want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight and being patient with us. I want to give y'all just a little sneak peek, a little sneak peek of a track that's on the album Holy Ghost 3. Like I said, it's right around the corner. It's 85 to 90% done. You won't hear this on Instagram or anywhere else. This is exclusive to Black Magic 363. and this is going to be an album. This is one of the album tracks. This track is featuring, and what's important about this album also, before I play this, and we're going to get into the whole God is music and we're the radio, the whole concept and philosophy of that. That's a very important philosophy, extremely important. What's his name? What's the guy that died? The young brother that died? Cam, not Takashi. His name sound like Takashi.
XX Testosterone.
Yeah, XXX. He talked about the frequency in music a lot. You could Google it. It's on YouTube.
Nah, he was connected. He was definitely hyper intelligent.
Yeah. So the brother was on it, and we're gonna get into that whole dynamic because we are vessels, and I've seen Cam being used by a higher power, and Cam has seen me being used by a higher power, whether it's my higher self, whether it's our ancestors, whether it's the God of music, whoever it is. And we're going to get into that whole concept and how you can apply it to whatever you're doing in your life and be great at what you're doing. So that's an amazing conversation we're going to have tonight. But right now, I want to give y'all a little sneak peek of a track that's on the album. And you can tell us what you think. We'll be back. This is about a minute. I think it's about a minute long, this snippet. We'll be right back, family. This is Cam featuring Loaded Lux, and it's called A La Mode. This is off of Holy Ghost 3. We'll be right back, family.
Yo. Oh my God. Yup. Damn. Potter. Cam. I am in a la mode, got the ice and cream, like an apple pie. When it's dark, I glow, like a light that beams through the blackest sky. Got a godlike flow, even Christ believes I never have to die. Only God I know is the one in the mirror, wearing a master sky. A casket is a bassinet for death. A baby crib is like a casket for your birth. Last thing you hear is bullets whistling through the air like I'm passing you a nerve. Blood dripping on the grass or dirt. What? I could vaccinate the earth. Humans never circumnavigated Earth. I guess I'll have to be the first. Wifey told me that I needed a job. Bitch, I'm too talented to work. Think I'm crazy cause I talk to myself. I'm doing acid while in church. Tripping but I never fall down, I'm falling up. Like the gravity reverse. One thing I promised my son that he'll never see is his daddy in a skirt. Niggas is homo sapiens, I leave you dripping like soul glow. Feel like I'm Prince Akeem, I got the semi with me everywhere that I go, bro. I put you to sleep like I'm flicking a yo-yo. Then I walk you like a dog, like I'm trying to go visit the wizard with Toto. Yellow bricks made of cocoa. If I die, I'ma come back so quick that you won't know. Call me Simeon Toko. I just mastered jujitsu, I live in the dojo. You can't slip out this chokehold. Even as a kid, I used to sit with the grown folk. Voice thicker than Tone Loc. I just bought a new invisible cloak coat. Flyest nigga you don't know. Everybody say they woke. We was better off when everybody was asleep. Everybody really broke. They just sound rich cause the talking is cheap. Ain't nobody really dope. They like fentanyl because they poison the street. Lately I've been losing hope. I know the truth but I get canceled if I speak. Everybody say they woke. We was better off when everybody was asleep. Everybody really broke. They just sound rich cause the talking is cheap. Ain't nobody really dope. They like fentanyl because they poison the street. Lately I've been losing hope. I know the truth but I get canceled if I speak.
Stop your bias, that can knock your bias. You ain't got the root for me. Modern science, a genetic giant. Knowing these cells, we don't got for bias, and I'm not a client. Retail.
Ooh-wee. Oh, ooh-wee. Kale, that was hard. My favorite line, because I got a son. You said one thing I promised my son he'll never see is his daddy in his skirt. Is his daddy in his skirt.
You niggas is homo sapien. I saved myself, right? Homo sapien.
I leave you dripping like so glow. I got the Prince.
Tell me with me. Yeah.
Yo, bro. Because the Coming to America, Semi.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is that these people getting a super early version of it because I heard Royce's album. Yeah. And then there's another, we have a guest feature on our album that also has a line that is the same. So that particular line might get switched out. Like, and the crazy thing about these songs is that, especially this one, like, and I know y'all heard Lux at the end of that. Yeah, like these, like unlike my other albums, I had time to like sit down and write a lot. Like, so with this album, I'm a father. I got 2 kids now, so like literally, I have, and I'm extremely active. Like, so like literally, I have no time to write now. But I've advanced my rhyme technique to the point that when this particular song was made, Rich sent it to me before the session. And he was in town when we did it. And I just go in the booth. Basically, we get in the conversation. I'll grab a couple keywords from the conversation, and then I'll just go in the booth, and he can attest to it. And I just come up with the lines on the spot. So a lot of times, like, I'll go back and listen to it, and I'll be like, you know what? Like, my critical ear will be like, yo, like, maybe I should go back and rewrite some of these lines, because if I apply more thought to it, more possibility rhyme sequences and patterns will come out. So with that one, that line might have to, that might be the only time you guys hear that line. It depends. But I like to, that line has been touched before, even by me earlier in my career. I had a semi line like that, but on the spot, on the spot, I'm just saying the first thing that I can think of. But I'm glad it's still fire. Like, if I can't touch it at all, like, I'm still definitely satisfied with it. And Lux went crazy at the end of it too, so it's just lovely.
Yeah, no, Lux definitely went crazy. Shout out to Lux. Wait till y'all hear the whole version. I mean, and shout out to Devin with the super chat. Peace, Cambatta. Your music is light years ahead of everyone else. It's like a mystical experience. Yeah, his music is definitely a mystical experience. Definitely a mystical experience.
Yeah. I appreciate that, Devin, man. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
I believe we had a comment before that was Mia Shiner. It might be Maya Shine or Mia Shine. And she was also very complimentary, and I appreciate it too, man. The love is just tremendous. I have no expectations. I stay a student and as humble as if I never, got any praise at all. I don't expect to be great. I just do what I have to do, and if it's great, so be it. Because I can't get hung up. That's why I continue to grow, because I just, I accept all of the praise, but when it comes to me in that spot where I go, it's reset every time. Back to square zero. Like, I'm just this. It's just me in my head, and I have to create this miracle every time. It's like, we all these albums we've done. We got to keep doing it, no matter how many good songs we make. We got to get up the next day and redo it.
Do another one.
So yeah, it's a process to where, if you get caught up in your own glory and your own pride, then it will be your demise.
No, indeed. I agree 1,000%, my brother. I want to talk to you, Cambatta, real quick. And everybody's saying play it back. We'll play at the end of the show. We'll play it again for the family. So we'll wait till some more of the family who's coming in late come in. But I definitely appreciate y'all enjoying that. And if y'all enjoyed that, y'all definitely will love the entire album. And like I said, it's about 85% to 90% done. So it's right around the corner. And you're going to definitely fully love and enjoy Sound Rich, because the talking is cheap. They quoted it already. Okay, they quoted the a la mode. They quoting a la mode already. Yeah. But listen, Cam, let me ask you, music is very spiritual.
Yeah.
And me and you talked about, the intro for Holy Ghost 2. I played a snippet. You was being interviewed by Sonetta, and I played a snippet of you talking about being a conduit for God and how the message coming through you. What scientists, these quantum physicists, what they know but don't talk about as much as they should, and you'll find out if you read enough books, is that what they call light, what they call intelligence, like when they say we get light from the sun, and they say light is information, they refer to it as light. They're referred to as information. But one thing they try to refrain from referring it to is music. We get music from the sun, my brother. That light, that information is music. It comes to us as music. KT talked about our cells vibrating. And I said, what musical genre would you describe it as? He said, jazz. Then Dr. B. Series said, yeah, jazz. They said the cells in our body, the way they move, the way they vibrate, the musical genre that is most similar to is jazz, but it's music nonetheless. Everything is music. Cambatta, guess what? All of us are musicians, and we're all tuned into different radio stations of this entity we call God. So to start the conversation with us being radios, we know what a radio is. We carry a radio around and it plays music. Talk to me about the idea of Cambatta being a human radio, and you're playing this music of God that seemingly you know how to tap into, but a lot of other people know how to tap into. Cambatta, what makes you able to tap into this unique radio station of God that you play through your radio that we know as the human body called Cambatta?
Well, I'd start by saying you look at that word radio,
Yes.
and then you see Ra Dio, right?
Woo.
Ra, right? So the sun, or the sun, and then Dio or Dia is God, like deity or Dio or God. So it's the God of light, right? Radio. So all radiation is light. It all basically are different spectrums of light that emanate from the sun, and everything basically. The sun is made. They say it's a hydrogen ball. Well, hydrogen is the first element. It's a gas, and they say from that all the other elements kind of like almost like the Big Bang Theory. So basically, the radio or the radio is just it's a system that can pick up on different beams of light, and then it translates it in your car, or that's why it's a transistor radio, to sonics. And that's exactly what our bodies are doing. We're like, these wireless cell phones that pick up the surface of, I guess the universe, the God, the Om, right? But Ra Dio also ends in IO. That's input output. That's also ones and O's. That's the phallic and the yoni symbol right there. That's 10. That's the beginning and the end, the alpha and omega. So yeah, just based on the wordage, you can see that it's just all light, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're just always picking up light. And as far as it all being music, yeah, it's I think down to even just a even more basic level, it's rhythmic, like our heartbeats, everything in time, everything that happens repeatedly in time makes a sound. I mean, and it could be an airplane going by, it could be a car siren, it could be frogs, crickets, cicadas. All of them have this rhythmic breathing to it. Spirit, as you say, is like respirate. The spirit is breath, essentially, right? It goes in and out. Spirit is so like literally, and that's, you can only talk if you have breath. It's almost like we're decorating the breath as we breathe it out. So you breathe in the breath, and then your body can literally make the diaphragm or diaphragm, right? The framing of the dio, right? The God, right? So yeah, like that comes out. So then you breathe it out, and then your tongue and your mouth is able to manipulate that air into all of these sounds. So I mean, I say it's like decorating the air. It's like that's our bodies are these are these basically machines. Like we're constantly breathing, right? So we're basically on a basic level, like we're these carbon dioxide machines. We're breathing in, but everything we do is rhythm. From the walk, we're walking, we're talking. Even in the babble of just listening to a human talk, and you don't understand what they're saying, it's like it's all music. I mean, and then when you look at like, I believe the original transmission are the words. Like, so the sun is what gives you the intellect, the light, right? But the moon, right? So that music, the moon, that gives you the flow. That's why it's related to the water or the tidal or the wave.
I'm a moon man, Cam. Yeah. I love the moon. I love the moon.
Yeah, that's when we operate. So yeah. Like that's when we're able to add the curvature to the more linear intellect that you get from the sun. Like that's when you download, right? You get work done. And then when that music, that's why it's the music. The muse, it's the muse, it's the moo, but it's the moo. That's the moon. That's the moolah. That's the moon, the cow. The cow's moo. That's why, it's the moo of the man,
Wow.
And you know, so yeah, it's music. That might, but like me as I'm very aware of it. So a lot of people do it unaware of it. Like
Yeah.
most people that do music, it's so innate, it's so natural, and in the flow state, you're not thinking. But I'm somebody that's been doing it a long time. I know my routine, and I'm starting to trust myself. You know,
Right.
more. The more confidence I have, the more I'll trust that no matter what I could just dive to the bottom of the ocean and I'll have enough air to get up. You know, and a lot of people, it takes a long time to get that good because it's really not getting better. It's really getting looser. It's you're learning everything so you can forget.
Hold up. You said it's not about getting better. You said it's not about getting better.
No. Well, a better is a part of the process, right? So it's almost like the fifth step. Like basically, the first four steps are for you to master it. Like you go through mastery,
Yeah.
then you go through mastery, then you go through excellence,
Yeah.
and then you go through greatness, and then you go through legendary, right?
Right.
And then after that, that godlike state is to where you're so good at something that it just happens. Like there's no thought that goes into it. Like when you see somebody really get into a dance like that, that's beyond legendary. That's actually that at that level you're in sync with God. You know what I mean? A lot of people die trying to get that because it happens a lot easier if you're on drugs. You know, so a lot of people. That's why a lot of people end up overdosing, or drugs are so closely tied to the arts, is because people are trying to get to that half dead state to where you can access genius thought right off rip. You know what I mean?
Do you ever are you ever frustrated as an artist, as a creative? Are you ever frustrated with your conscious mind when you can't come up with an idea or a certain thought that you want to, because you know that sometimes people who are creatives, they know that if I drink some alcohol, if I smoke weed, if I do some drugs, I'll tap in. And then they won't do it because they're like, they know it tears up their avatar. Do you ever feel frustrated that why the fuck is it so hard to do this without this substance? Like, does that ever frustrate you as an artist?
Well, it definitely did frustrate me. Like, especially when I first started smoking weed. What ends up happening is, if you're used to doing something completely sober, and then you go to a substance, and you get a results, and it's like, oh shit, like damn, you're telling your brain and your body are going to build up a dependency, and then you're going to start to believe, okay, I can't really get in my zone unless I have this crutch.
Right.
And that's natural. I mean, that's going to happen. You know what I mean? Down to water, like you know what I mean? There is going to be something, and if that's part of the alchemical recipe, because basically your body is like, you know, like if whatever the recipe of that day is going to get you your desired results. And if you're used to performing with a certain recipe, then every time you go to perform, your body is going to be asking for that. So yeah, it used to. Now I've gotten to the point where, like I said, I've had to learn how to separate my day, like being a father now. So time is more valuable now. Before that, I had so much time that it was frustrating, because if I'm just sitting around smoking bud and nothing's coming to me, and I got 8 hours to write, it's just like what we said before. But now that my time is accounted for, now just getting to the studio, is like a regimented thing. Like I have to have a certain amount of time to do that. So now now I have to do it regardless of what's up to, and I can't smoke bud as much as I used to. I can't do this. So now it's like, all right, I gotta get this done regardless. So like it definitely, like weed is something that I've been smoking for at least since the smoking mirrors days. So about 10 years, a little over 10 years, maybe like 11, 12 years. So it's become like a daily routine, like coffee or something.
Right.
But I can perform without it. Definitely. I've proven it to myself time and time again. So I don't have any worries anymore.
What do you, in terms of, there's so many celebrations going on this year. It is the 50-year anniversary of hip hop, and there's festivals happening in a lot of the major cities across America. Where do you think in 2023, artists of your stature, what you talk about, you're like one of the only metaphysical, one of the very few, let me not the very one of the very few metaphysical rappers out there who deal with metaphysics and his raps, his or her raps. So where do you think you fit in right now in 2023 in this whole hip hop genre?
Wow, man. I mean, I will say you're right about it. I say like as far as like the conscious rappers, there's a lot of conscious or like I would say metaphysically based you know, rappers that do niche fringe content. They're out there, but generally it's tied to a mind that is not in rhythm or in sequence with modern reality as far as what's going on in pop culture and hip hop. So it is extremely difficult to fit into that. It's basically not built for the kind of art that I do. But there's ways around it, obviously, like because I believe, and that's why I believe that I was my spirit or me had to exist in these times because it would have been impossible if I was trying to do this before. I would have had to get lucky. It's like, you know, maybe I rap well enough that if I was born in the 90s, somebody would have just, you know, it wouldn't have mattered. Like back then you had to get signed because you had to be on the radio or something. But now it's beneficial that I'm in the prime of my writing and my musicality now in the time where we don't have to depend on hip hop. Like I've been knocking on hip hop's door my whole life, dude. And every time the door opens, it's a different person, you know. The people that I want to meet, you meet them and they're like, bro, don't go in there. You know what I mean? You only hear bad problems about it. I've been spending the past years of my life saying, you know, I really hip hop. No. Like as far as a culture, it exists when you're listening to the music in company with other people that feel like that.
Right.
But as far as it being a complete entity itself or a system or a machine, it's not. It's a marketing term at this point.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? It's completely fragmented. The only way you're gonna feel it is at a barbecue or when you're playing hip music that is synonymous with the word hip hop, which is a certain pocket of time. The music that's being played now is not hip hop. They're using rap, right? So we just literally connected rap with hip hop as a genre. Like anything that is rapping is hip hop, and rapping, just like singing, is just a technique of expression. You know what I mean? It's actually simpler though, and you don't have to go through a lifetime of training like Aretha Franklin or Whitney Houston would have to do. So now we're going into an era where most people who want to do music are going to be rappers because the church is basically done. So, the likeliness of you getting a Brian McKnight is going to be, good luck. Luther Vandross, maybe you'll get some people in some divergence at some point. But basically, if you're coming up right now and I'm a 5-year-old Cambatta in a whip, I'm hearing NBA Youngboy, Uzi. That's what I'm going to emulate more than likely. Like when we grew up, music was unbelievable. You know what I mean? Like, not that the music now is bad, but it is. Like if we're comparing, you could say 90s music compared to 70s music is bad. You know what I mean? Because yes, at some point there was a peak of musicianship in the 70s, and then in the 80s you got the electronic shit coming in, which it peaked in the 90s, and then in the 2000s it turned redundant again with the boom, boom, bling, boom, and now it's getting back up. But the rappers that are holding up the ceiling they don't have to be super intellects. They don't have to do all the things that Jay-Z and Nas had to do. So do I fit in? No, but I think that there's enough people in the world that would appreciate our music that we could be successful. I always said a platinum album is 1 million sales, but if there's 300 million people in the United States, that means you're doing less than 1%. You're doing like 0.00 2% or something like that, you know? So you don't need the entire population. We just need enough that we can sustain ourselves well enough to want to continue doing this. And then somebody will hear it and carry the torch. That's all we can hope for.
No, indeed. Wow. Great, 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 excellent, amazing perspective. You've been doing this for a while. You know, everybody on this channel definitely appreciates what you bring to the game of hip hop and your lyricism. How do you feel about, just curious, how do you feel about because I know you recently had a no, you have a daughter. You recently had a son, but you have a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the female rap genre right now? Female rap genre is becoming more and more popular. More the females in hip hop are starting to get more shine and get more radio play and everything like that. What's your thoughts about the female rap right now?
Shout out to Sarak. First of all, I think that she's like, you know, the best female lyricist out there.
Yeah.
For sure. I think that for a while, it was looking real promising. Like, you know, it was kind of like through the 90s in the 2000s, like maybe 1 out of every 20 rappers you see is a girl, and sometimes they're good. Like you'll get a Shauna or you'll get I remember Miss Jade was dope. There was a couple where you hear them and you're like, oh, that so she's snapping.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went through this phase where a lot of girls started coming out, like, you know, Rock, Rhapsody, the Snowder Product. I remember Nitty Scott. There's a bunch of girl lyricists that were dope. Eugene Blackrock. There's you start hearing like that. It's in battle rap. You'll see it too. Like they exist. There's some really really cold, like crazy female. Tierra Whack is dope.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really dope female rappers. Mm-hmm. But also my little sister Giolana, for sure. Giolana, my sister's crazy. That's the secret. Is she? They're out there. But what's happening is the almost like the stripper or the stripper looking. I don't know what to call them, but the city girls, the who's this new girl that just came out? She's talking about
Sexy Red.
Sexy Red, the prices, you know, the like this is taking over, and it's really making it hard, you know what I mean, for a woman to kind of break through that. Like I can only imagine because yeah, like those girls are gonna be able to have the studio time. Like think about it, like they got OnlyFans and their strippers. They can immediately just take their social media fan base, which is already going to be something because they're wearing no clothes. So they can take their money that they're making on the poll or from OnlyFans, pay for studio time, pay for a video, have all their chicks in it, and then pay for marketing. And it could blow up. But a regular 9-to-5 girl that's trying to have a rap career, that's not trying to take off her clothes, it's definitely, you know, it's kind of like if you're a drug dealer or something, like, or you're a gangster or whatever like that, you're gonna have the pockets of the street behind you, even for the men. Like, and those guys are gonna have backing. They're gonna have the streets. That's what they got the streets. They got a certain backing. Like right. That's what that is. Like these girls have their own backing. They're gonna be able to play the game. Like they got the bread and they have the following. So they're gonna keep winning. Like it's definitely. You know, I guess the bows eventually got to break. Like we can't just keep rolling snake eyes every time, bro. But yeah, it is looking kind of bleak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely. I noticed the rise in female rap, and I noticed the content that's being pushed out there. Just like I noticed with the drill rap, and me and you and Lux talked about drill rap on a previous episode. But in terms of the subject of the video tonight, God is Music and We're the Radio. If we're radio, one thing that we were used to when we were young, when we're turning a radio station, is when we're going from, like, let's say we're going to 98.7 to 97.1, which a lot of us did in New York City. In between those stations, we would hear static. We would hear static in between those in between the music. So if God is music, and we're using these analogies, would you say stress is analogous to static? What would you consider static in terms of what we go through as human radios?
Yeah. It's definitely static and anxiety. You're 100%.
Static anxiety. Okay.
Because those stations where you're receiving the static, that's out of your frequency range.
Right. Okay.
So
Okay.
whether that's too low or that's too high, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you're so low that you're depressed that your body does not have the energy to do anything. That's when you're receiving that level of static. Or sometimes your energy is so high you can't steer your car, you're forgetting your keys, you're like, you know what I mean? And that's a whole nother level of anxiety to where you're reaching mental static. It's basically mental cloudiness to where your mind is not at a homeostasis to where you can now. That's why people emphasize breathing and clean eating so much, because you're looking to be light. You're looking to be as clear, light as a feather, basically. Because if you're digesting too much wild shit, your body's going to be going through the anxiety of trying to get rid of all of these chemicals. And then, or if you're doing too many drugs, like you're going to be either one or the other. You're either going to be too high to where you're eventually going to drop, or you're going to be and then the next day you're going to be so low that it's going to take you a couple days to get back to regularity.
Right.
So, yeah, the point is to try to keep that balance, that's why it's Luke Skywalker, right? Because Luke is warm right in the middle. And that's why he's able to walk on the sky, because he's at a loop point. He's right at that middle point. And if we're talking about the spectrum, you're trying to balance in the center of it. And that's what he's able to do. You know what I mean? Boom. That's the Luke Skywalker. You know what I mean? But and sometimes it's a recipe. Like depending on where you're trying to go, sometimes you can retune your body to work in that static and pull shit out of the static. You know what I mean? I think Black Magic. I hear music in bad static. Remember that?
Yeah, first song we did.
I said Black Magic. Hear the music in bad static.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That means that I'm able to listen to the static, right? Calm that. It's like it's like shh. I'm able to go shh. I'm able to defragment it, refragment it, kind of like in Willy Wonka. Remember in Willy Wonka when Johnny TV went inside the microwave and he was like, what happened to him, Wonka? He's a million pieces. He was in the sky. They put Johnny TV inside of the microwave and they made his body go into all of these ions in the sky.
Yeah.
They had to re-ionize him. So that static is that when you look at static on the TV, it's white and black dots going crazy.
Right.
So, but then when you go to a channel, it's the same dots. It's red. So basically, a television is just red, blue, and green going really fast. Right. So it has a pattern. Right. But when those same ions don't have a pattern, they're free radical in the air. They're basically going. It's like watching if you like a particle theory, right? The particles have all potential.
Right.
So the particles that have all potential appear to somebody that doesn't know how to quantify them as insane chaos. Right. But like a really good mastermind is able to go to those channels that nobody's tuned to, that is normally static, and be able to literally materialize something out of nothingness in there. That's what that is. That's why we go to the studio and we're trying to get drunk and we're trying to get a little blaze, because now we're in a zombie-like state to where we can work in there and pull shit out. It's dangerous though. It's high traffic. You know what I mean? You're playing Frogger, but you get really good at it. You know what I mean?
Right. That's deep. Wow. That is an amazing breakdown. So what's static to one person is music to another person, depending on what they're tuned into.
That's exactly right. That's why everybody can't do it.
Every dial, we're used to.
There's dial again.
There's dial game. So if we're on a radio, we're used to 98.7, 97.1, and then let's say it's 96.5, then it's 95.7. So you're saying in between all those, every single dial is music if you could tune into it.
If you can tune into it. And a lot of times it's out of your range. So you might have to go to the next city. You might have to go to the next state.
What's the next state mentally? Hold up. Cam, what's the next state mentally? Tell me, please. If we have to go to the next state in our car to listen to a song, mentally, what's the next state that we have to go through?
That's that God state. That's Christ state. That's the Christ state. That is
a state of consciousness.
State of consciousness, exactly. The state of consciousness.
Shit.
That's what we literally. You trying to get to the next. If I'm in Connecticut and I'm trying to 97.1, it don't work until I get to the next state.
Mentally,
woo,
we have to get to the next state conscious wise, bro. What the fuck?
And that's bars. You know, that's bars because we close to the antenna. You know, you got more bars.
Hey, we got more bars. Oh wow.
It just keeps happening, bro. It just keeps happening,
so
bro.
You as an artist, you get more bars the closer you are to the antenna.
That's it. Exactly.
Get the fuck out of here.
Exactly. But like I remember when I was on shrooms, and I'm like, shrooms, like you'll feel it buzzing, right? So it's basically getting high. What does that mean? Like, so in order for your mind to operate at a certain level, your resonance, your vibration has to get higher. And due to hedonic adaptation, your body has a normal point, right? So it knows where it acts most, it functions at the most highest efficiency rate. And that's where you are right now. That's normal, right? So your body, so with certain psychedelics, you can raise your vibratory rate, right? But it requires way more battery power in your phone to be able to pick up those. So like literally it's like going from 3G to 5G. And when you're on low internet, your phone got more battery power. But when you go to the highest HD on the screen, you go to the highest signal and you're using Bluetooth and shit like that, your phone battery is gonna die like this. So you can't stabilize it. It would be an unfair advantage to all humans if you could just be like that at all times. There would be almost no point of living. Like the point is to try to get there while you're normal. Maybe once in a while get up to the God state. But yeah, like basically, yes, we are exactly radios or cell phones. And you know, to me, like spirit, that breath, that chemical soup that we're getting in is the first recipe to keeping this, because guess what? If you don't get oxygen, your body loses all of its life. Right. So that breathing and it's only in your body. How long is the breath in there? It's like you have to keep getting it in all the time. It's like we're constantly having to breathe. We're constantly having to drink water because we're trying to keep our bodies inflated with life. Like we're trying to keep it up and going, right? So we could continue to get this machine going, so we could continue for whatever this experience it is, whether it's just completely novelty or not. But yeah, like we are exactly just wireless, like walking, talking cell phones that are picking up, you know, antenna frequencies all the time.
Amazing conversation. I see a couple of people saying have a similar question in the chat. I want to bring to your attention. This is the Candace, and I seen somebody else ask a similar question. What would the AM station be? You know how there's AM, there's FM, there's XM.
So the AM channel, those are the grandparents. Those are the older people. Those are so like literally FM would be like your, you know, like your people born in the like, you know, 80s and up. The XM radio, that's all these new kids born after 2000. But the AM radio, that would be the old school people. That's why once the computers and shit came out, grandpa's like, what is this device? I don't want it. It's too complicated for me. Their bodies acted at an AM rate. You know what I mean? It's almost like talking about BC, AC, after Christ BC. It's literally like, you know, almost AM, PM, it's talking about a certain phase, you know what I mean? And it was a phase where these bands, the radios worked at these band rates, but that was usually for the older music. And then they were able to use a higher frequency band in the FM, and that's able to have high fidelity music. And then it keeps going. So AM would be the older people. These are your Stevie Wonders, your your Temptations, your Smokey Robinsons, like they're able to pick up on shit where I'm not able to do what they did at all, not even slightly. They were able to pull out of thin air. Like I grew up listening to all kind. Rich grew up listening. By the time Rich started producing, production was already developed. By the time I started rapping, there was already goats. These people didn't have digital studios. They didn't have abilities to even hear music back that much. Like they had to wait till it got on the, they didn't even have a way to record the music. They had to literally wait till it came on the radio to hope that it comes back again, you know? Right. And so literally if they're coming up with songs, there's no way for them to play a beat. Imagine if they didn't have a piano. And even if they only had a piano, they still have to imagine the drums, the guitar, and then hope these things come together. And then they have to practice these songs until they can eventually get studio time. So literally they're acting at a, it's almost like, you know, AM means like ancestor mode, you know what I mean? And like, cause they were able to just pull from absolutely nothing, like an AM frequency, like that. Like if you go into the backwoods of Alabama and shit like that, where there's only radio, certain bandwidths, it's gonna be on an AM. And then, but listen to them talk. They're like, "Hey, partner, how you?" They're old school. It's a much wider, slower. It's like CDMA versus GSM or something. It's something to that. I don't know if that's fact. I'm just kind of pulling out of nothing, but it sounds like it's true.
No, definitely. You know, when it comes to us being radios and us tuning in to this radio tower, this broadcast tower that we call God, some people call it Source, some people call it Infinity, some people call it Big Mama. There's different names for this broadcast tower that we're all, as radios, we're all tuned into. How should I ask this? In terms of emotions, like if I want to experience happiness, Cam, and they tell me to say after, they tell me to use words, and when I use words, Cam, it doesn't feel right. Like if I say I am happy, it feels like I'm lying to myself because I don't feel happy inside. So the affirmations don't work. So instead of listening to affirmations, I may listen to a song that matches that vibe of that affirmation. Do you think if we're unable to say affirmations, it's easier for us to listen to music to tap into that frequency?
Definitely. So anytime you listen to or read a word, your mind has to solve a problem. It's literally doing a function in a formula. So
yeah,
you know, it requires you to read, it requires you to contextualize and define all at the same time while you're trying to get the vibe. So you're actually multitasking in your mind when you're listening to words. Also, words are very limited. So that's why words like love and God are so trivial, because they just don't do the feelings and the concepts any justice. Like and that's why words are so encapsulating, like names. Generally, like you could just look at somebody's name and see, you can find characteristics that exist in them in reality. Like it just so-called happens that way. Like somebody that is tied to this sound, like the sound like Richard is like Richard. So those people, the people that are called that, have certain attributes.
Right.
But if you break it, like just like I did, like almost stripping the word of its, of its math or its formula and just getting it down to sound, it can enter your body without thought. So sound, just plain instrumentation or like speechless music, instrumentation or whatever you want to call it, that doesn't require you to think. You're able to let go of your thoughts, and it enters your body just completely vibratorily. It just, your brain is able to solve that just seamlessly. It can enter your heart. It just kind of. But words, it's a more, even when you look at the wave, like it's more spiky. There's more dynamic to it. But yeah, just music alone, I would say, yeah, like it can do that. There's certain songs you can hear that you can't be mad to. Like there's songs that if I'm mad and I'm trying to wallow in my madness and depression, I will literally avoid certain songs so I don't feel good because there is no avoiding it. Like if I'm sad and I listen to my favorite song, Jones Girls, "Nights Over Egypt." Night over Egypt. Dum, 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 dum. I can't. There's certain songs. I believe that if you're looking at a war on like a gang war on the streets, and you play a certain Earth, Wind and Fire song, or like "Remember the Time" by Michael Jackson, they're gonna stop. They're gonna be like, "Whoa, Frankie Beverly" or something like that. Like, how could you still kill people like that? Music is way more powerful. I mean, if the spell is correct, it's even more powerful. But it doesn't need words. Words make it. Words add the texture. You know.
Mm. How powerful or moved right now and moving forward do you think lo-fi is going to be to our culture? What do you think about lo-fi music?
I think lo-fi definitely ties into what we were just saying. It's a lot of lo-fi. You'll see. I'll go on YouTube and I'll be looking for like almost like low low stimuli. Something that's not that I can just just breeze through the house to. That kind of music is considered lo-fi because it almost sounds like I loaf, right? Lo-fi, like I loaf, like to loaf is to sit back, right? Loafers are like almost like slippers, right?
Right.
Yeah. It just sounds right. It's like, and a loaf is like bread. Imagine sitting on, like, to me, a couch looks like a loaf of bread you sit on. You know what I mean? So yeah, lo-fi, like, yeah, it is because it is and it was almost like a cheat code because it allows like hip hop rap producers to live without depending on rappers at all. Like, there's certain lo-fi producers that they call it chill hop in these different phrases, and there is no rappers. It's just the instrumentation, and it works. It's a different vibe. Like, you could study to it, you could clean the house to it, you could cook to it. You don't have to worry about remembering or listening to lyrics. So yeah, lo-fi, I don't know if it's all exactly lo-fi. I think that kind of, some of it is actually lo-fi, meaning that they're intentionally degrading the sound to give it more of like a radio recorded cassette vinyl vibe to it. So it's an aesthetic. And lo-fi started off as an aesthetic method to make it sound like it's more authentic and organic, Right. It's a whole different genre. It's like dubstep or something,
Indeed. Shout out to Urban X, Black Dot Malcolm. They had their 400th podcast today.
Wow.
Make sure y'all go over when you get a chance to Urban X TV. I see a lot of y'all. Y'all just came in from the show, actually. I seen y'all enter the chat. Shout out to everybody who came in from Urban X. And once again, Black Dot is on Holy Ghost 3. He's on the interlude on Holy Ghost 3. So you will hear Black Dot on Holy Ghost 3, the album. So shout out to the brother Black Dot. He's been in hip hop game for quite some time. Like I said, Cam, this year is actually the 50th year anniversary, and I know Black Dot has a lot to say about that. What I want to ask you about, Cam, now is the fact that hip hop is at such a low state right now, and we're seeing another genre on the rise, and that genre being Afrobeats. What's your thoughts on hip hop falling and just so degenerate? And we're seeing Afrobeats, such a good vibe. When you hear a song with when you hear what's the name of the I don't want to mess up the names, but
Teams, the TEMES.
Yeah. When you hear this music, such a good vibe. The brothers and sisters across the continent. Yeah. And what's your thoughts on that, my brother?
Yeah, I mean, no matter how great a genre is, it's just time will definitely phase it out no matter what, man. I mean, like I said, you got to think of the music of the past. Michael Jackson, Prince, Stevie Wonder. It dies with them, because the next generation, technology only makes music easier. The reason why people get good like that is because of lack. You know what I mean? Like, recording music and putting out music is extremely feasible now. So if I'm just an 18-year-old rapper who just started rapping, I'm able to put out an album tomorrow. If I'm good at marketing and I did something even slightly witty or good, I'm gonna immediately get validated for it, which doesn't really give me a reason to spend 15 years getting nice. You know what I mean? Because I'm getting validated for something that I didn't mature yet. So it's kind of like a Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy, no disrespect, but he didn't have to be a high level musician to get famous. I mean, his beats were, I mean, doom, doom, doom. They were, let's be real, they were horrible. His lyrics were, I can't say horrible because it made it work. Who am I to say, right? It's more successful than anything I've ever done. But I will say, like, just from a music state of mind, if we compare that to Earth, Wind, and Fire, yes, it's considered
Simple, very simple,
very,
simple.
very simple. I'm not gonna say horrible, but but because that becomes popular, the kids growing up are not gonna emulate something that's harder. They're gonna do something that's easier. Your body's gonna take the path of least resistance. And by the time we saw Eminem, he was already a 29-year-old man that's been rapping like with the fury of I need to save my family. I'm from a trailer park. By the time you seen Jay-Z, he was 26 years old. He was already mature. Like these guys were, they were rapping all their lives. They had to be nice. Like you had to really like stand out amongst everybody to even get in the studio. So yes, like now you don't have to be like that. And then the most popular music is nothing like Nas and Jay-Z. So they're going to only emulate what's available to them. So yeah, it's going to continue going down this scale. But I will say that still there are incredible artists all over the place. It's just you got to run into them or you got to hear it by word of mouth usually because no matter how good the algorithm is, it's not going to be able to feed you every local rapper that's extremely talented. Right. So they're out there, and it's people have more access than ever now. It's just because there's so much access, it makes it kind of like desensitizes us. It almost like even if we hear the next greatest rapper tomorrow, like he's like, people just have such a short attention span that it'll be on to the next one. So but some will happen. Like everything comes back around. Some will happen. There's still incredible musicians being born every day. Probably honestly greater than it's like the NBA. Like there's a guy now who can touch the top of the backboard. They're doing every dunk. Some guy did a behind the back between the legs dunk. They're doing 360s from the free throw line. These are dunks that I only dreamed of as a kid. Like I didn't even think they were humanly possible. And now like 16-year-olds are doing it like it's nothing. So yeah, like there's more greatness, but because there's more of it, it waters it down and it makes it like, we're in the TikTok age. So you see somebody touch the top of the backboard. That should have just made everybody like, oh, somebody actually did it. We heard about the GOAT do it. He actually did it. There's a kid who did it, and it's on film, and nobody gives a fuck.
Listen, family. I'm gonna take a couple of questions from the people from the chat, about 2 or 3 questions before we get out here. Let me play this snippet from the album for those of you who are coming in late. Holy Ghost 3 is about 85 to 90% done. It's right around the corner, but I want to bless the family with a snippet from once again from the album. So I'm gonna play it for those who when I played it in the beginning, there was hardly anybody in the room. So I'm gonna play it again. Then we're gonna get some questions. Give me some questions in the chat. I'm gonna ask a couple of about 2 or 3 questions, and then we're gonna get out of here. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. The Holy Ghost is right around the corner. We're gonna do a live album release party in Brooklyn. So we're gonna do a live album release in Brooklyn at the Alkaline Oasis. Shout out to Mr. G. That's in Brooklyn, New York. So stay tuned for that. All the announcements will be coming soon. Once again, well, let me ask this before we get into this snippet. Somebody wants to know, where is it at? What can we expect from Holy Ghost 3 that differs from 1 and 2. You want me to start or you want to start?
Yeah. I think Rich should start that.
Yeah. So with Holy Ghost 3, it's growth spiritually. So we're figuring out who we are more as artists. So you're gonna hear more of a refined sound, and we're honing in on our sound. We have a distinct sound. We have a mystical sound. If you hear Shaka Zulu, if you hear Yahweh Shah, if you hear Goat, so we're honing in on a certain sound, and we're exploring. We're taking chances. But that's something that we did with Holy Ghost 1 and 2. We took chances. So I would say there's a lot of similarities, but you're gonna hear the growth in us as artists. And sometimes people like or dislike the growth. Like Jay-Z said, if you want to hear what he said, I forgot how he said it. If you want to hear he said something. Basically, he was saying if you want to hear Reasonable Doubt again, because everybody wants to hear another Reasonable Doubt, he said you're gonna have to buy that album because he's growing. So you're gonna hear a more mature Cambatta, you're gonna hear a more mature Black Magic, and we're growing and like just like pretty much like how Kanye grew as an artist. He couldn't he couldn't chop up samples his whole career. So you started to hear a different, you started to see him evolve as a producer, as an artist. He started making stadium music. He made rock music. Like Kanye was like, he's like a musician. And I feel as though me and Cam, that's the path me and Cam is taking. We can't just duplicate Holy Ghost 1. We can't duplicate Holy Ghost 2. We look to grow and evolve. So you're gonna hear evolution from us musically. But go ahead, Cam.
Yeah. I completely second what Rich said. I mean, as far as the beats, I mean, Rich has become. It's like somebody that you never see really practice, but every time they step on the court, he got 5 more inches on his vertical. His dribble's crazy. You know what I mean? He's got more responsibility than ever, less time than ever, but the beats is coming out crazier than ever. And I think it's because of what I mentioned earlier, is that trust. Like he's getting better and he's growing because he has to. He knows, like, once that time gets ripped from you and you become more successful and your family grows, time becomes way more valuable, man. So you start to spend it, you know what I mean, in more wise ways. And the beats that we're getting into on this album is why it's even taking longer. We did more songs for this album than we did on our other albums, and it has it has a wider spectrum and diversity of sound. It has very strong, extreme opposites on this album. So you got as red as it gets, and you got as blue as it gets. You got as hot as it gets, and you got as cold as it gets. You got as heavy as it gets, and you got as light as it gets. And so you're hearing almost. This is almost like, yo, tell me everything you got on your menu. And we're like, okay, we could give you this. It's like, yo, you going weed shopping and you have an unlimited budget. You're going to get the best indicas and you're going to get the best sativas.
Indeed.
You know what I mean? So that's literally what this is. It does have that dualistic nature to it, to where you're getting the whole story. It is the alpha and omega. It is the before and after. It is the destruction and the rebuilding.
Oh, yeah.
Number 3, so it has that divinity to it, that Trinity. That's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. You know, that's the here, there, and everywhere in between. You know,
Indeed.
and that's exactly what this is sonically. You know I just used a lot of analogy and metaphor, but there is no more, I would say, precision words I could use to describe it. It is. We're doing everything we can on this. It's like Rich. I was like, yo, give me every emotion in my spectrum. Give me anger. Give me love. Give me confusion. Give me state of grandeur. I want it all, and that's what this is. So you're gonna get more songs than ever too. You know, this is gonna be our biggest album, both in quantity and in quality.
Indeed. Next question. C Diggs want to know less profanity ? I wouldn't say that. No, first of all, C Diggs, we don't use much profanity to begin with. If in comparison to other music that's out there, our albums are extremely low with what we call profanity, but how you view profanity, how I view profanity is totally different. The experience that we're looking for musically, like Cam said, the wide range, the spectrum. If we're doing a song about anger, if we're doing a song's music about different emotions, we might use profanity because it's an honest look into that emotion, whether it's anger or whether it's hatred or whether it's depression. Profanity might be suitable for that track because it expresses that particular emotion. So we're not looking to hide emotions. We're looking to make honest, transparent, and good music. And I think that profanity comes with the territory. When you do that, although we are mindful with the amount of profanity we use, we're not gonna completely just disregard realistic lyrics if it comes to our mind. And that's what I have to say about that, Cam. So you could go ahead.
Yeah, I think, and I understand the concern, because the profane or the cursed words are the most powerful. That's why they're the most feared and the most revered. They're very true sometimes, and they're very effective at pressing certain buttons emotionally. A lot of that probably tied to trauma and anger or any kind of like real negative emotion. But a lot of the times, to stay true to the emotion, I would be lying if I completely censored myself.
Yeah.
We all know that the rated R movies are usually the good ones because they're able to really show something. You know what I mean? And it's not all about how explicit it is for the sake of getting off on it. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I'm going to say the F word because, party time. It's like I'm saying the F word because that's exactly how I feel. You know what I mean? And there is no word that can better describe it. Any other word, I will know. You'll be able to feel that I'm self-censoring. So out of the sake of the music, I'm not gonna, if I'm drawing a picture of a human, I'm not gonna erase the penis because some kids might look at it. You know what I mean? I gotta be real. Like, okay, yes, there's a penis. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, or there's a vagina, or and then it forces you as a parent to make a decision. You know what I mean? Either you're gonna scave over it, or now you got a learning moment. So,
Yeah.
and I don't want to give it to you without warning. So there is profanity on it, but it's not negligent, and it's only used. I off the top of my head, I can't even think of maybe more than a couple times it happens.
Yeah. No, definitely. So I hope that answers your question. And as artists and as musicians, one of the things we don't like is censorship, but we also are being responsible, and we also understand that this is way more than entertainment. It's entrainment, and we're training people, but we have to be somewhat transparent and honest about our experience without being neglectful or irresponsible. So it's pretty tough to balance that, but I think we're doing a great job, C Diggs, and I appreciate your question. So let me get to the next question. This is a good question. Somebody wants to know, how important are ad-libs?
Ad-libs. I said when I add libs, it's like I add limbs to my body of work. I said that on True Magic. That was from my first mixtape, man. But ad-libs sometimes just add texture, especially if you're telling a story or you're just trying to. That onomatopoeia sometimes really like drives the statement home. Like if I'm talking about shooting a gun and I actually make a gun sound, it's like, especially if it happens rhythmically, you can look at it as a part of the instrumentation. It's musical. I'm adding an additional musical element to it too, like certain sound effects. Just music is so effective because it forces you to create an internal vision. You got the sound, you got the voice, so and then you're hearing something from a subjective point of view. So you're hearing me talk, but if you're listening to it in your head, it's almost like you are hearing your inner voice talk. So the gunshots, the ambulance sound, yeah, all of that shit, that stuff, to be less profane, that stuff adds a little bit. It's the decoration. It's like, why when you go to a gourmet restaurant do they add the little garnishes? Why? Because it just makes the process, the aesthetic, just makes it so much more full and soothing and satisfying.
Indeed, indeed. Somebody wants to know, will there be a creative physical release of the album like Holy Ghost in the past? USB, hard copy, vinyl? Yes, there will be. We're figuring that out now. There definitely will be. So you could definitely stay tuned for that. I think having something that people could collect and have with them that's physical is important, and especially if you are a big fan of the music. So we definitely want to do that for the people, the fans that are big fans, and they definitely love and appreciate the music. So yeah, something like that will definitely be available. Definitely,
Mm.
and that'll come with and you know the announcement will come very soon with that. So I appreciate that question, Charlie. Definitely appreciate that question. So, let me see. Somebody wants to know, how do we tap into musical frequencies that no one has heard before?
Mm.
Mm. I think, well, I started out, Cam. I think one of the keys to tapping into musical frequencies from a producer perspective, Cam, that no one has heard before is, first of all, set the intention. Attention is everything. Whether you vocalize it or think it, the ethers will carry that intention across the universe. And your brain is like a tuning fork. So it vibrates and then it'll pick up on a certain frequency out there in the universe, and you'll get that image of that frequency. So I think the intention is first. Secondly, you have to know, sometimes we ask for something, and when it comes to us, we fight against it because we don't know it's the very thing we asked for. So sometimes I may ask for a certain sound, and I'm in the studio and nothing I'm doing is working right. And I get frustrated and I say, damn, I'm having a bad studio day. But literally all I gotta do is do something different. I keep doing the same thing. I'm like, let me start with the drums, then let me start with the melody. Maybe instead of starting with the drums, maybe this time I'm supposed to start with the melody. So maybe what appears to be bad musically is really something is really something good masqueraded as something bad. We just don't know how to read the message coming through to us. So you have to just go with the flow. If something's going bad, if something's not working, go with the flow. Just keep trying or keep doing something new. Go with what feels good. And I think as music, as artists and musicians, sometimes we don't go with the flow. Sometimes we go with a formula that we know works, and that could be dangerous and that could be repetitive. And that's when we make the same music over and over again. So I would advise us to go with the flow instead of going with the formula as artists or musicians.
Mm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Whatever is your normal routine, definitely try to confuse it, because it will force your mind to like try to bridge those gaps, and that's where you get new thought, new wrinkles. You can only do it doing something you haven't done before, you know. Like almost like a trail, right? So if you see a trail when you're walking in the woods, that trail is there because a lot of people have traversed that same direction. In order for you to make a new trail, you're gonna have to basically excavate and clear new land, and that requires you to do something uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah.
Also, if you're trying to create something that no one's ever heard before, I would say it'd be important for you to stop listening to stuff.
Ooh.
You definitely want to defocalize yourself, both physically and mentally. So, like maybe disconnect from music for a little while, or if you are listening to music, maybe listen to music that you've never heard before. Listen to Peruvian mountain music or something. Get some new, either some no influences at all, or extremely exotic influences, and then you go into states of either meditation, go for long walks, and just catch whatever comes. That's a good way to filter in clear thought, you know what I mean, and then from that clarity you can get obscurity. One thing that I do to because newness comes from the obscure thought, bridging gaps that have never been bridged before. And one of the things you could do is, clear your mind or go on a fast, get all the food out, go on a music fast, go on a food fast, and then maybe stay up all night and then get really, like, before really tired, where you got that almost like hypnagogia state. now you're really not you. You could get there, like drugs will do that too, but that's how you can do it really naturally. And then that in that state, you'll be able to find sounds you'll never hear again. Yeah, I guarantee you that. Or you could do mushrooms or ayahuasca or something like that, and maybe capture something. A lot of times, I'll do some real powerful psychedelics, and I'll hear and see things I've never seen before. But trying to bring those back in that state is very, very difficult to do. Artists are a little more able. They have a better, I guess, a canvas to do it because they're able to see something and then try to emulate it like that. But trying to bring back thought sometimes, especially thought that has no basis in reality, and it can't be described with human words. It becomes hard to tell people like, oh, I know the secret of life now. Like, oh, I've heard the melody I've never heard. But unless you're a musician and you can get that out immediately, a lot of times it's going to slip through your fingerprints, slip through your fingertips, like trying to, carry water home from the beach or something. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's methods, but or just trust yourself and just do enough music that it's going to come. If it's meant to come to you, you're not going to have, there's nothing you can do. They're like, if it's meant to come to you, it's going to come to you. And that's how it comes. Everybody's meant to, you could look at every genius musician of all time, and they all probably had a different routine. There's no one way to do it. If it's meant to come through your body, it's going to come. That's one thing that you can't even plan it. Like really everything I say goes out the window. But if you want to plan it, you could do what me and Rich said for sure.
Definitely excellent answer, my brother. I seen let me get to this question. Super chat question. I look forward to seeing your perform on July 30th. Shout out to Billy Carson of Forbidden Knowledge Awards. Cambatta, do you see colors when you're creating your music, or maybe the sound waves? Wow, great question.
Yeah. So first thing, definitely shout out. We're definitely was gonna get to that too, man. Shout out to Billy Carson, the Forbidden Knowledge Awards, July 30th in Miami, Florida. If you could get there, man. It's gonna be historic. Me and Black Magic gonna be like the main featured performers. We're gonna open and close the show. So yeah, it's gonna be epic. And I don't do many performances. I don't plan on doing any performances anytime soon after that. It's just about putting out music right now. So yeah, that'll be one of the rare glimpses of me in real life for the time being. And do I see colors when I'm creating music, or maybe sound waves? I mean, absolutely. Like I think anything you do with your eyes closed, especially, you're going to get some kind of visual resonance or residue from it, or some kind of hypnagogia if you pay attention to it. Even if you're staring at a bright light in a room and you close your eyes, you're going to get that visual of that, and it might bounce around a little bit. But if you hear like a loud, violent car crash right up with your eyes closed, you're going to see a flash. Like the sound waves and light, it's the same frequency. It's just on different levels of the spectrum. So absolutely, I don't think it's a magic trick. I think it's a part of the human experience to be able to see some kind of visual representation of what you're hearing behind your eyes. If you can't, it's either because you're not focusing enough, or like your mind is too clouded to really focus on it. But as far as sound waves, it's the thing about me is that I spent a lot of my younger years as a rapper also doing sound engineering. So I was literally looking at sound waves, like this, just for at least 10, 15 years of just every day looking at sound waves. So what I can do is like literally if I'm listening to a beat, like, or I can literally see where my sound wave would land. I can see exactly how to edit it in my head. Like, all right, I just need to, I could move it to the right or the left a couple milliseconds. Okay, that landed there. Oh, I could stack that. I could literally see it in my mind. And then, shout out to Nick. We, now I don't mix myself anymore. We've been using Nick, and when we're in Atlanta, we go to what's my Vance, yeah, at Solar Sound. So so Yeah, I don't touch the waves no more, but I could still see it in my head. But I don't think that's a magic trick. I think that's just due to the fact that latent in my mind, I have some kind of representation of sound.
Speaking of magic, Cam, they want to know. Hold up, where did that question go? What's the first single, Cam? I know everybody wants to know.
No, we can't even tell them the first single because that lets that cat out the bag, man. We can't even tell them, bro. It's hard, not, but just know it's when you hear about it, you'll know about it, and you'll be able to talk about it. That's like asking it, like that's like asking your parents, like, "Hey, let me just see the box of what you got me for Christmas." In your mind, you're gonna know, okay, that's an Xbox because I can see the size of the gift. Yo, shake it around. Let me see how heavy it is. Okay, I know what it is. No, we can't tell you that because that's gonna give away the secret.
Man, it's man, it's something, y'all. It's definitely signed. But listen, y'all, we passed we about the hour and a half mark. We're about to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Shout out to Black Dot for joining us, everybody from Urban X, everybody else who joined us. I mean, music is much more important than what we think it is. And in terms of us manifesting, I'm just let y'all know, me personally, in terms of me manifesting in my life, music plays such an important role in terms of me doing my magic. It always evolves. My highest forms of magic always evolves in music. So don't ever for a second think that a book on DNA or a book on these complicated topics is not as important as a book on music. All that stuff is attempting to explain and describe music in a very complicated way. So music is everything, family. We're all the radio of this entity we call God, Big Mama, the universe, whatever. And I advise all of y'all to tune into the station the music that you want to play for humanity. Holy Ghost 3 right around the corner. 85-90% done. And that's all I got to say about that. I'm happy with the product and what we've come up with. And Cam, I guess you could end it for the people tonight, my brother.
That's it, man. Yo, definitely thank you for hanging in there. Definitely apologize for the wait. But your patience is not going to go in vain. It would be like unveiling a mural before we added the final colors. We're just doing you an injustice by rushing this experience. And like I said, man, like we're not your typical artists. We're not like, I'm not somebody that drops a lot of music often or even talks to you guys often. But it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate you. And I'm beyond thankful and gracious, like, beyond my expectations. And so the thing about it though is that, I'm always gonna try to give you the best I can. And Brother Rich is literally one of the greatest producers I've ever seen. I mean, this guy, he's one of those kind of guys where in a boxing, man, he's like a Gervonta Davis, man. He doesn't throw many punches, man. He's going to calculate you. He's going to see your style. He's going to see exactly how you move, and he's going to throw a punch, and it's going to land. If it doesn't land, you're going to feel the wind. So, yeah, it's an honor working with him, and we're going to bring Holy Ghost 3 very soon. Thank you so much.
Indeed. And with that being said, we getting out of here, family. I think tomorrow I'm gonna be on with AA Rashid, so y'all can stay tuned for that. But shout out to my brother Cambatta, Holy Ghost 3 right around the corner. Album release party in New York City in August. We're performing live at the Forbidden Knowledge Awards July 30th. Shout out to Billy Carson on Forbidden Knowledge. And other than that, family, I'll see you next time. All right, family, peace.
Peace.
All right.